State, the Cyclones are on the road to visit the Kansas Jayhawks as they look for their second win of the season. Good morning, everyone. With Ben Lieber, I'm Mark Followell. It's great to have you with us. For these two teams, Ben, the players put the work in all season. The coaches put the work in all season. They haven't seen much in the way of rewards when it comes to wins, but for someone today, that will change and get a first Big 12 win. Kansas won the toss. They've deferred their option until the second half. Kansas looking to stop an 8-game losing skid. Iowa State trying to snap a 5-game losing skid. And Wyman's kick, he needed about 2 or 3 more yards of distance on it before it bent out of bounds. Unfortunately for him, it goes out about the 2 or 3 yard line, so it will be a penalty. And good field position for Joel Lanning and Iowa State's offense to take the field.
Well, good field position. We just heard David Beatty say we have to play a clean game, and right off the kick, they get a penalty, so that's not a good way to start. You're going to see Joel Lanning today. He's the running quarterback. A lot of third and shorts, goal line situations, tough, physical runner. He does lack a little accuracy throwing the ball, but he is the most experienced guy they have right there, and because this KU defense is so bad against the run, I can understand why they're going with Joel Lanning.
And they will go with David Montgomery to start the game at running back. He had more touches in a game than any other game this season last week. Lanning faked the handoff to him and throws the ball to Deshaunte Jones. And Jones making players miss, moving and grooving all his way up to the 50-yard line. Right to midfield for a 15-yard pass play on the first action of the game.
Well, they bring the right guard, Patrick Scoggins, pull him, get the linebackers to suck up. One of those run-pass options where everybody on the second level sucks up. And then you see Deshaunte Jones, very fast, understands spatial awareness, find the opening for that big play.
With his 25th reception of the year. 22 of them have been in the last 6 games plus. They go to Jones again. Maybe he heard the footsteps of Mike Lee, who delivered a hit after the ball fell incomplete. Now we look at the impact players for the Iowa State offense and Kansas defense.
Well, for Iowa State, David Montgomery's really come on lately. You can't deny the fact that Mike Warren's had a great freshman year back there, but lately because of injury, Montgomery stepped up and played so well, a 3-down back. And Dorrance Armstrong is the guy on defense. Plays on the other side of the ball. A lot of times he's a disruptive player for this Kansas defense.
Armstrong only second to Jordan Willis when it comes to sacks of the Big 12 and leads the Big 12 in tackles for loss. Quarterback run action here for Joel Lanning. Lanning has run for 340 yards and 5 touchdowns this year. He picks up 3 there before DeIsaac Davis stops him.
Well, and that's the element that he brings. Is he gives you that extra guy in the running game. They'll get a tight end back there. They'll fold some alignment over the top in the middle line of scrimmage and get him running the football.
3rd and 7. Lanning throws, and it's incomplete. And that will boost the best 3rd down defense in the Big 12 as Kansas State, allowing opponents to only convert 36%, gets the hold with that incompletion.
Well, here's Deshaunte Jones. You'll see him once again go open across the middle. The ball was delivered exactly where it's supposed to be, high and away from the defender. But this is an area of concern for Iowa State's receiving corps. A lot of drops, too many drops, drive killers, momentum killers. And Deshaunte Jones starts off this game with 1 catch and 2 drops.
Courtney Arnick was on the coverage. Now Colin Downing from Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin will punt it. LaQuiviante Gonzalez called for a fair catch and fumbled. And it's a special teams nightmare to start the game for Kansas. 1 minute and 16 seconds in. LaQuiviante Gonzalez fumbles the punt, and it's recovered by DeMonte Ruth from Dallas, Texas, from Wilmer Hutchins High School.
We see 2 special teams gaffes. A ball out of the end zone, or out of bounds on the kickoff, and then LaQuiviante Gonzalez, one of their best, most explosive players with the ball in his hands, can't come down with it. And again, clean football. You have to play clean for David Beatty and this team. They're not good enough. They're not experienced enough. They don't have enough playmakers to play when they make mistakes like this.
Their FBS leading 30th turnover of the season. And it gifts Iowa State the ball in the red zone and deep in the red zone with a 1st and goal at the 8. Lanning to keep it, and the Kansas defense will be called on. And they start on 1st and goal by smothering Lanning with DeIsaac Davis making a second tackle here in the first couple of minutes. Iowa State, Ben, 24 out of 26, 92%, second best of the Big 12 in the red zone this year.
Well, the reason is because you get a guy like Lanning at quarterback who is built like a linebacker, big, strong, tough, runs hard, knows how to run in tough situations. You get him running the ball, you get an extra blocker in the box, and that's where they get so deadly in the red zone, 10 yards in.
Motion for Carson Epps. Second and goal at the 8. A pocket for Lanning. He'll step up. Pocket converges. He's hit 2 or 3 times, able to fight forward to the 4-yard line.
But talk about the toughness. I mean, he's not even running the ball. That's not a designed quarterback run, but everything was blocked up on the outside. No one to throw to, and there were defenders there. As we take a look at the coverage, you'll see Carson Epps, number 1. He comes underneath. That's where he was looking to throw the ball. That wasn't there. Protection broke down, but he's able to make something out of nothing because he's such a strong runner.
Just barely inside the 5. 3rd and goal. And Lanning will fade it toward the back of the end zone. Too far. Intended for Trevor Ryan.
And Trevor Ryan's this guy that not a lot of people talk about. You'll see him right there. He'll just kind of sneak out here, and then he's going to run this kind of sneaky wheel route. It's like it acts like a little bit of a fade pass. Got the right coverage, gets the one-on-one, and Lanning, this is the area where he's lost his job because he's a little inaccurate throwing down the field. Little error on that pass.
Cole Netton is the all-time leading scorer in Iowa State football history, and he bangs through a 23-yard field goal. It is a 3-0 Iowa State lead about 3 minutes into the game. Laquivillante Gonzalez fumbled the punt. DeMonte Ruth recovered at the 8-yard line. Kansas's defense holds Iowa State to the short field goal by Netton. Matt Campbell's Cyclones in front 3-0 on the road. Iowa State with an early field goal because of a fumbled punt by Kansas's Laquivillante Gonzalez. And no surprise that Kansas has surrendered the most points off turnovers in the Big 12. 81 points off turnovers. They've committed 30 turnovers this year, which is the most in FBS.
Well, and their quarterbacks lead the Big 12 in interceptions at 18. They're actually second. That's so much. It's second in all of the NCAA. So you can see that not taking care of the football leads to bad things.
Gonzalez will have a chance for redemption with the kickoff return off the boot by Chris Francis. It's returned from the 5 up near the 28-yard line. The first start from Vero Beach, Florida, freshman Carter Stanley.
Well, they're looking for a spark, and they didn't find it with their other 2 quarterbacks in Cozart and Ryan Willis. So in comes Carter Stanley. Doesn't have a huge arm, but the thing they love about him, he's so smart and he understands the offense so well. He can go through his progressions much quicker and much more deliberate than the other 2 quarterbacks. And you can see right there, not a lot of experience. He just lacks the game experience, but they love the way he can play when the lights come on Saturdays.
Last week, in relief of Cozart against West Virginia, Stanley went 9 for 11, 127 yards and 2 touchdowns. Keon Kenner will run the ball, and he's stood up by Justin Thomas on a drive that starts for Kansas at their own 27. There is a marker down here after Kansas's first offensive snap.
Personal foul, hands to the face, defense number 19, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Jaquan Bailey on the penalty, the freshman from Jacksonville, Florida.
And he's one of these guys that I'll be watching all game long. Really has come off lately. Big, explosive. You'll see number 19 right there. That hand is fine. The placement of it, you can't leave it there for that long. That's the foul. That's the infraction. It's the length at which you leave that hand there. If you inadvertently get your hand around the head and neck area, you can do that, just pull it back.
Steven Sims with the catch, a stiff arm to fight off a tackle. The penalty moved Kansas up to the 44, and then he's bumped out by Jamal Wiltz on a 3-yard gain. Let's look at impact players for the Jayhawk offense and Cyclone defense.
Well, the one thing you saw from Jaquan Bailey there was just that arm strength. That was a one-arm long arm. You can see the strength. He uses that separation very well. And Steven Sims, we're going to see a lot of him today. He's their most consistent playmaker as a wide receiver. And with the young quarterback in Carter Stanley, I imagine that's going to be the security blanket that he wants thrown to the outside.
Not much there for Keon Kenner. Damon Tucker from Hazelhurst, Mississippi, the senior, engulfs Kenner and throws him down. 3rd and 6. We're about 4 minutes into the game. Dropping back to throw is Carter Stanley, and it's a deep ball over the middle and incomplete. Looking for Tyler Patrick.
Well, and the one thing you're going to notice right away is he actually has time to throw the ball. See how long he got to sit there and pat that ball? This offensive line has not been very good at keeping the quarterbacks clean. Iowa State's defense is going to do a lot of slanting, a lot of stunting, so it's going to come down to communication with those guys, passing things off. They did a tremendous job that time. He just couldn't deliver the ball accurately.
So Kansas now has made it 10 games in a row without scoring on their first possession. The drive stalled after the Iowa State penalty. The punt by Cole Moose. Trevor Ryan is immediately brought down after receiving that punt. And Iowa State will have the ball for what is now their 3rd drive in the game after this 38-yard punt and immediate tackle of Deshaunte Jones. It's a 3-0 Iowa State lead. The Cyclones, coached by Matt Campbell in his first year there against Kansas, and the Jayhawks, David Beatty, his 2nd year at the helm. More on the coaches. Here's Leslie McCaslin.
Well, Mark, it hasn't been easy for either of these guys. Coach Beatty in his first 2 years at KU, or Matt Campbell in his first year at Iowa State, with just 1 win so far on the season. But for these guys right now, it's not really as much about wins and losses. They are rebuilding programs and trying to build a good foundation. Matt Campbell telling his guys, we may not be more talented, but we can be more detailed, more disciplined, and fundamentally sound.
And they'll have a chance to run the ball. Jacob Park is in the game at quarterback. He hands to David Montgomery. The freshman was hit at the line, then bounced the ball outside and will gallop up near the 45-yard line. Officially, this will be 30 yards. Put him down to the 44. Fish Smithson with the tackle of Montgomery.
Well, you're going to see it right away, just the power. And really, this is going to drive Clint Bowen, the defensive coordinator for Kansas, nuts, because you have the guys there. You have to make those plays. They even tried to gang tackle him, but you can understand why Matt Campbell and this staff loves the way David Montgomery can run.
And they'll give Montgomery another chance to run. And he went right, weaved left, up near midfield. So Jacob Park on the 2nd series is into the game now at quarterback, Ben.
And I think this is going to make sense. You're going to probably see a lot of Lanning as well. You're going to see a lot of Jacob Park. And, you know, he's more of your pro-style quarterback. He can sit in the pocket. He can throw that ball. Don't think that he can't run, because he does a great job of sliding around the pocket, being elusive, extending some plays. Again, he's just one of these young guys that needs a lot of experience in game.
Montgomery's 3rd straight carry. A crease to run to the outside. And then he's pushed down near the sideline. There's a marker that comes in on the Brandon Stewart tackle.
Brandon Stewart. There was a flag on the play.
3 straight runs for David Montgomery. Here's Brad Van Vark, the referee.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 8. 15 yards will be added to the end of the run. 1st down.
We'll take a look at Brandon Stewart, number 8, going in for the tackle. And it's such a hard thing as a former defensive player, when you're getting stiff-armed as well, right in the face mask, and he's turning your head, it's hard to see the target. It's one of those things where I think they need to do a better job in all of football to call it both ways. You can't stiff-arm a defender right in the face mask, turn his helmet around, and then call a defender for face mask.
Mike Warren's in now at running back. He got hurt late in the game against Kansas State 2 weeks ago and didn't play against Oklahoma. And he will have his first carry of the day, and it will go for positive yardage. The snap from the 24 and the run down to the 15. Anthony Olobia got him just a little bit short of the 1st down, but it's a gain of 9.
So far what you've seen a lot of is these interior linemen. That's Brian Bobeck, the center, folding over the top, getting that extra blocker on the perimeter and allowing the running backs to run right off their hips.
Park to throw for the first time on the drive, and throws it out to the left side, and it is intercepted. This Smithson, if it stands, has his third interception of the year. There isn't discussion about it along the sideline.
Well, Allen Lazard, one of your most consistent receivers out there, big-time target. Again, I talked about the drops that they've had collectively in the room for Iowa State as wide receivers go. Doesn't come down with it clean. And right now they're calling this ball, this incompletion. As you see Smithson corrals it and comes down with it. They're going to have to review this because this is awfully close. I'm going to guess that left elbow was down just a fraction of a second before he hit the white. Looked like to me he showed control.
Under further review.
Side official really kind of gets in the way. We see Lazard, normally sure-handed, can't come up with it. Smithson's there. Put himself in the right spot to make the play.
Now
there's
has control.
possession. And now the issue becomes the initial ruling on the field was an incomplete pass. And we've seen two replays now where it's, that's your best look. And that's a great stoppage. As you see, that left elbow touches.
After further review, the Kansas defender did have possession of the ball inbounds. It'll be first down for Kansas at the 12-yard line.
That is a very, very good review. First interception in 63 pass attempts for the year. That's 4 picks now for Jacob Park. Kansas will take over after 12. Running it is Kenner. Hit hard is Kenner.
Ball carrier number 22.
Dane Seeley in on that tackle as it's a 4-yard run on first down.
Well, as is every team, you need to establish positive gains on first down. 4 yards is great for this offense. It actually gives Carter Stanley a little bit more wiggle room to throw.
And he will throw, and it will go to Steven Sims, who will turn, wait for a block, and then just power his way forward. Didn't end up doing a whole lot with it as Jamal Wiltz forces him out, and it's only a 1-yard gain.
Well, and it looks like just a small detail, but this is where when you have a horizontal passing game, your quarterback has to deliver that ball so the receiver can take it and get upfield. Don't throw it behind to where his momentum has, just like we saw in the last play, has to spin around and allow the defense to now converge.
3rd and 5 for freshman Carter Stanley in Kansas, and some zip on that pass. And it's a first down up to the 24. They needed 5, picked up 7 on a pass play to Keegan Brewer.
Beautiful throw, great timing. Look at the poise. Gets a hand across the face mask. Runs right to the sticks, exactly where you need to go as a receiver, and the ball was thrown to the outside. Nice accuracy from the young quarterback.
12th catch of the year for freshman from Lake Dallas, Texas, Keegan Brewer. Now to the right side to Shaquem Barbell. And Barbell takes it over the 30-yard line. It's another 7-yard pass play.
I think you're starting to see just a few completions, calms him down and gets him to play with a sense of urgency. This whole offense now is playing with a little faster tempo.
Second down and 3, and it's 4 straight completions now. It's caught by Sims. First down converted from the 31. They'll move up to the 39. Bit by bit, they inch forward. The Kansas offense 4 straight completions after that Kenner run.
I think the referees missed this one. Watch both receivers on the outside. See that twitch? Both of those guys moved before the snap. Missed opportunity on a blown offside.
Now here's trouble, but Kenner got away behind the line of scrimmage. He's able to elude the penetration in the backfield and scoot up the right sideline into Cyclone territory. It's a first down before Brian Peavy makes a tackle at the 41 of Iowa State.
And this is a great sign for this offense. They've struggled all year long to run on the perimeter. They don't have the speed and the guys on the outside to get those blocks. It's a great sign for this offense to see Kenner get out there on the right side for a huge gain.
Picked up 20, then a quick pass to Laquiviante Gonzalez. Goes for 3 inside of 7 minutes left in the first quarter, and a second down and 7 coming up. Laquiviante Gonzalez has caught his 48th pass of the year. Kenner runs, he cuts, he's close to the first down, but stopped short by Kane Seeley and by Mitchell Myers.
And Damon Tucker, 97 for Iowa State, just got tripped up. Did a tremendous job of getting across the line, using that quickness. Could have had a tackle for loss, but just lost his footing. And Kenner was able to see that, stick his foot in the ground, and get north and south.
Kansas has the best Big 12 third down defense. Iowa State the worst, but they will make a stand here. Closing speed coverage by Kamari Cotton-Moya on a pass play on the left side.
Well,
Intended for Patrick, Ben.
The last third down conversion, they did this exact route. A clear out by the number 1 receiver. The number 2 receiver goes up and out and runs to the sticks, and they were all over it on that repeated play.
This year, Kansas is 3 for 14 on 4th downs. They have a 4th and 2 at the Iowa State 33. In his first start today, freshman quarterback Carter Stanley from Vero Beach, Florida, has a big moment. Gonna hand it off to Kenner, and Kenner surges over the 30. It's a first down for Kansas. Gabe Luna with a tackle, but Keon Kenner did enough to move the sticks on 4th down.
Well, it was the fullback, Michael Zuniga, who's lined up. You'll see him right in front of there. He's gonna get chopped down and cut the man line of scrimmage. That allows him just enough space to get the first down.
Now going up top and nearly intercepted. Should have been intercepted.
The intended for number 4, Tyler Patrick.
Tyler Patrick, the intended receiver. And Jamal Wiltz was down on coverage. Also a marker down. Everett Edwards, so close to an interception.
Pass interference. Defense number 17, 15 yards from the previous spot, automatic first down.
Jamal Wiltz, Ben.
There it is. The boundary corner does a great job of seeing it, plays off of his guy and runs to the number 2 on the skinny post, and you saw it right away. Carter Stanley knew that was pass interference. Whether they dropped the ball or not, that call was going to get made.
At the 15-yard line after the penalty, Stanley throws it with some zip, and Barbell stretches forward. Won't have the first down, but got him really close. Everett Edwards kept him from converting the first down. He picks up 8.
Edwards. 8-yard gain in the play, 2nd and 2.
Here is the 12th play of the drive. Look at all of the receivers bunched to the short side. They'll look to the wide side with the throw, and incomplete in contact in the end zone.
Wow.
On a pass intended for Brewer, and Wiltz was the defender again.
Wow, I don't know how Wiltz doesn't get called for a second pass interference. This ball is in the air, and you're going to see a lot of holding. Look at that. That's fine. You can hand fight. And Carter Stanley asking for it again. I think there's a lot of times where they ask for the pass interference. That one should have been called.
It was intended for Steven Sims. And you saw that Wiltz had a handful of that number 11 jersey. Here's 3rd down, and they'll throw it. And this time the catch is made, and he just curls into the end zone. Sims grabs it. Kansas is on the board. Impressive 13-play touchdown drive, Ben. Kansas with the score with 5:24 left in the first quarter.
You know, that's exactly how you respond. This is a tough-minded football team. Things have not gone their way throughout the season. They certainly didn't go their way with the first few plays of this game. Offense responds. That's how you do it.
Extra point by Matthew Wyman. Today, both teams have scored off turnovers. The Iowa State interception, Fish Smithson with great concentration, hand-eye coordination to haul it in, and then 88 yards and 13 plays later, Steven Sims Jr. just bends his way into the end zone for the KU touchdown.
Well, it was a defensive interception for Kansas, and Kansas's offense takes it down the length of the field. And this is the play that they ran 3 times on this drive. It's a clear out by number 1, and Steve Sims in man-to-man coverage breaks it off to the outside, and Kansas responds for a touchdown in this game.
speedy Kene Nwangu from Frisco, Texas, with a kickoff return out of the end zone. And Up Smithson interception started it, and it ended with a 7-yard touchdown pass to Steven Sims.
And they were efficient. They were quick. They played with a sense of urgency. The run game got going a little bit. You saw a little bit of everything on that scoring drive for that Kansas offense.
Sims with his 7th touchdown reception of the season. The drive was also aided by a pass interference penalty along the way called against Jamal Wiltz of Iowa State. Now Mike Warren from Lawton, Oklahoma, the sophomore, ran for 175 yards last year in Iowa State's 38-13 win over Kansas. Picked up 4 there. 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Iowa State has a short field goal after a fumbled punt by Kansas as Laquivionte Gonzalez gave the Cyclones the ball at the 8, and they stalled out in that goal-to-goal situation. Now a pass by Park, incomplete. Smithson on the coverage.
Smithson does such a great job. You'll see him bailing right here. Came up to the line of scrimmage, showed one coverage, jumped out, and played over the top. And was actually there to knock the ball out from Allen Lazard. Once again, their high-value target as a receiver now has 2 drops on the day.
Deshaunte Jones has the only catch so far today for Iowa State. Lazard just went in motion. As the Cyclones with a 3rd down and 6. And Park is in trouble, and down he goes. Isaiah Bean, who picked up his first sack last week against West Virginia, now records his 2nd, a freshman from Houston, Texas.
Yeah, the freshman, we talked to Coach about him yesterday, and he is an up-and-coming guy. You'll see him on the left side of the screen. You see the speed at which he closes. Kind of long, kind of lanky right now, only about 215 pounds on a 6'4" body. They're excited about what he can become. They think that he is the next great rusher that they have here for this defense.
Colin Downing's punt. Laquivionte Gonzalez, that is, backpedals and makes the fair catch at the 24. Right now, let's check in with Anthony Masterson in Los Angeles with a Fox College football game break.
Baylor at number 11, Oklahoma. Sooners up 7-0. Baker Mayfield finds D.D. Westbrook for the 29-yard score. Check out the balance from Westbrook to stay in bounds. Westbrook over 1,000 yards and 13 TDs in his last 7 games. 14-0 Oklahoma. Mark, Ben.
All right, thanks, Anthony. And obviously Kansas knows about D.D. Westbrook.
Oh, yeah,
certainly had plenty of success against them 2 weeks ago. Taylor Martin is in the game at running back after Kenner had some success on that last drive. But this is what Carter Stanley's done. The numbers look very similar in terms of attempts and completions to last week. Stanley is already 8 of 11. He went 9 of 11 last week against the Mountaineers, as Martin has a short run on 1st down of 2 yards.
Well, again, going back to the last drive, it was how efficient he was getting the ball out of his hands. It wasn't a lot of holding the ball, patting the ball, thinking about. He was decisive, he was quick, got the ball out, and marched his team down for a score.
2nd and 8 at the 26. And that's caught. Gonzalez has it. Brian Peavy on coverage, but Gonzalez makes the diving catch.
Well, you'll see once again, see that back foot hit? He saw Laquivionte come right out of his break. He attacked the corner, and when he did that, that's when he threw the ball. I'm so impressed by not only his anticipation, but his accuracy.
3rd down, a half yard. They'll take the play to the outside, and there's enough room for Taylor Martin to convert the 1st down.
And I mentioned it before, Kansas's offense, they haven't had a lot of success running to the outside. But today, they've attacked Iowa State's defense on the perimeter. They feel like they have something in the running game. It's something to watch out for as this game progresses.
By the way, that was direct snap to another running back, Micaiah Long, and a Wildcat who gave the ball to Martin. Now it's a short throw to Shaquem Barbell. And Barbell caught it and then immediately was spun down at the 39.
Well, as I mentioned, Kansas normally likes to run up into the middle. Look at that, 202 attempts in the middle. A lot of fold schemes. They feel really comfortable with their guards folding on the inside. And today, they've hit a lot more of the perimeter.
And that run was to the right for Taylor Martin. That's how they converted the first down, was Martin going out to the right on third down a moment ago. This time he just picked up 5 yards.
Well, and eventually they've been so right-handed running the ball that eventually you're going to have to mix up something going to the left side now to kind of keep this defense honest.
Just over 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Third down and 3. There's a run in the middle, and it's Taylor Martin. Bounced off the initial tackle right at the first down marker and moves it up to the 49. Another 5-yard run for Martin.
You know, it may not be sexy, but it's methodical, and you're picking up first downs. You're moving the chains, and most importantly, you're dealing with short chains. There's not a lot of second long, third long, so the offense, although it's methodical, they are moving the chains of being effective.
Now Stanley wants to throw it for the 49. And we'll go down the sideline, and Shaquem Barbell has it. Barbell has been a favorite target so far today for Carter Stanley, and Barbell takes it deep into Iowa State territory at the 29. He's out.
It's the ball distribution as why they think Carter Stanley can be the guy going forward. He doesn't focus in on one guy. He does go through his progressions, and he does what he says, taking what the defense gives you, doing a fantastic job of that today.
Quiviante Gonzalez catches it hard, bumped out of bounds. By the way, Ben, that's 4 catches, 39 yards for Barbell after that 22-yard grab on the previous play.
Well, and a lot of people want to focus in on that last 2 plays ago. Quiviante Gonzalez kind of curled up in the soft part of the zone, and a lot of eyes converged on him, and rightfully so, because he is so dangerous on space, and that's where a guy like Shaquem Barbell can get out in the open, and Carter can recognize that and deliver the ball to him.
They get to Keon Kenner, and now all kinds of room, and Stanley will smartly take off and then go down after a first down. Gave himself up around the 17-yard line of the Cyclones.
And what I say earlier about doing and taking what the defense gives you. They have a little exchange route on the outside. It's well covered, and then he sees it immediately. Look at all the green grass. Look at all that space. Why not just use my legs, athletic guy, lay it down, pick up the first down.
Quick throw. A little low, bending down to make the grab was Steven Sims.
Number 11, Steven Sims. Coverage number 9.
5 straight completions now for Carter Stanley.
3-yard gain of the play, 7-7.
That went for 3 yards. Going to be at least one more play here at the end of the first quarter, it would appear. It's a running play. It's a big hole. Keon Kenner.
Number 22.
Slung down inside the 5 by Kane Seeley. He was the only thing preventing Keon Kenner from scooting into the end zone.
Well, and see, that's how you find balance. You get all those short completions, and now everybody on the second level is thinking pass.
And they want to run it here before the end of the first quarter as Kenner surges forward and is stopped short. They got one more play off before the end of the quarter, and it is a play that will take them down to the 1-yard line. For Kansas, the blemish today has been the fumbled punt. But ever since the Fish-Smithson interception, Carter Stanley has engineered one scoring drive and is on the cusp of another. It's 7-3.
Kansas up 7-3 as we get ready to start the second quarter. Guys, it is so much fun to watch Coach David Beatty over here on the sidelines. He is involved in every aspect of this game, calling plays, talking to Carter Stanley when he comes off the field. Then he's over talking with the wide receivers, making sure that they're all communicating. Then he's meeting with special teams before they go back out on the field. And his message to his guys is the same now as it was before the game. Focus. They cannot stop y'all. You just have to take care of the ball. Mark?
For 45-year-old David Beatty from Garland, Texas, there is no questioning the enthusiasm and passion and vision that he has for this job with this program to rebuild it and get it on the right track.
Well, and I think everybody that's watching this program understands what he was dealt with when he got here. He's going to have time to build this thing. I think he has the right guys to do it. Bright future here in Kansas for David Beatty.
They are going with a jumbo package. Stanley will try to hand the ball off, and Taylor Martin powers in. Touchdown, Kansas, to start the second quarter.
Well, and you knew on second down, with about a foot to go, That's when you run the ball. There's no secret about it. They didn't try to deceive you. They line up with the 3-man backfield, and it was just, hey, we're going to hit you in the mouth. You got to respond and try to stop us. And that particular drive, another impressive drive where a lot of completions for Carter Stanley and the ability to run the ball as well.
A 76-yard drive, as a matter of fact, with 5 different completions by Carter Stanley along the way. And Taylor Martin doing a lot of work running the ball on the drive, including the last yard.
Well, look at just the push up front. Everybody submarines down, causes the pile, and then you get 2 lead blockers in the backfield. Big Michael Zuniga with the key block there. And Taylor Martin just has to plunge himself into the end zone. A lot of excitement. You could feel the energy in this crowd. They knew midweek that Carter Stanley was going to get the start, and they wanted to come out and see what kind of spark and what kind of energy he could bring to this football team.
Second straight 13-play drive for David Beatty and the Kansas offense. He was the wide receivers coach at Kansas after he'd been a high school football coach, a head coach in Texas, in Irving, Texas. Then he went to Rice for a year as an offensive coordinator. Back to Kansas as the co-offensive coordinator in 2011. And then a 3-year run at Texas A&M before being hired in December of 2014. 0-12 last year. They opened the season with a win over Rhode Island. Now it's an 11-point lead in a Big 12 game early in the second quarter at home against Iowa State. Kickoff by Matthew Wyman. It will be a touchback. Early second quarter, Kansas up 11. Here's Anthony Masterson in Los Angeles with a Fox College football game break.
Well, number 16, West Virginia at Texas over on FS1. Kennedy McCoy rumbling in for an 8-yard touchdown run. West Virginia coming off a big win over Kansas last week. Texas needs another win to become bowl eligible. Mountaineers on top 10-3 in the second. Mark, Ben.
That win for Texas that got them to within a game of being bowl eligible was against Texas Tech last week. Touchback here, 25-yard line. That's where Iowa State will start out with Jacob Park. Lanning started, but Park is at quarterback. And will flare it out on the right side, and the pass is caught. It's a gain of 6 as they throw it to Montgomery out of the backfield for an Iowa State offense that in the last 6 games, look at the jump in production, Ben, 29 points a game, 413 yards a game.
But you mentioned both coaches are new. Matt Campbell in his first year. It's going to take some time for all the players, young and old. The young and the old guys that have come in, they have to learn this offense and get that understanding personality-wise what the coach is looking for, how they want this offense to run. So it's no surprise that later on in the season they're playing higher-end football offensively.
Montgomery, as much as anything, was brought down because he ran into his own man, the center Brian Bobek. He caught a pass for 5, Montgomery did, then he runs for 1.
Well, and this is a very important drive. You got 3 points early in the first quarter, but really haven't done much else offensively, and then you've watched your defense give up 14. They have to find an answer, especially on this drive.
A little bit of a blitz look shown by Cameron Rosser. Throwing the ball is Park, but short of the sticks. It is caught by Carson Epps, but he's thrown down by nickelback Tevin Shaw from Piscataway, New Jersey.
It was a 3-man slant route that was well covered, good protection up front, and you're going to see all these guys come across the field. And Kansas does such a good job of being patient. You don't necessarily have to jump those balls because all those slant routes were 3 or 4 yards in front of the sticks. So let them make that throw, come up and make the sound tackle. That's a huge stop for this Kansas defense.
Colin Downing summoned in to punt once again. He averages about 42 yards per punt this year. Another fair catch called for and made by Laquiviante Gonzalez after a 41-yard boot. Kansas the ball and an 11-point lead at home. First start for Carter Stanley, and the freshman from Vero Beach, Florida, is shining under the bright lights.
Oh, he is shining. I mean, you can see why they like him. And he gets the ball out quick. He makes decisive decisions. and he has enough arm strength to play the horizontal passing game. The other thing that I really enjoyed is his accuracy. If the ball has to be delivered to the outside towards the sideline, he's throwing it there, not giving the defenders a chance to make any sort of play on these passes. He's looked very impressive, especially the last 2 drives.
Completing 81% of his passes today with that 13 of 16. This drive starts at the 27, and a hole off the right side. Taylor Martin swallowed up by Brian Mills. First 3 possessions today for Kansas. Remember that they fumbled a punt the first time they got a touch, which led to the Iowa State field goal.
And they've been giving themselves short sticks, not a lot of long down and distance situations.
Dropping back, Stanley steps into a throw, and it's caught for a first down. Over the 44-yard line by Shaquem Barbell. Brought down by Edwards.
You guys see it come right here. And the thing I like about, there's coverage there. He doesn't want to throw the ball initially, but he kept his eyes down the field as he scrambled, waiting for him to pop open, and delivered a nice ball.
Now Stanley on the move, and he throws it behind the running back Taylor Martin, who did catch it, but will lose 3 yards because Damon Tucker got out into space and brought him down.
Tackled by number 97,
A moment ago, Shaquem Barbell caught his 5th pass for 52 yards. Even though that goes for a loss of 3, it is 8 straight completions now for Carter Stanley. 2nd and 13. And Laquiviante Gonzalez helps him out to make it 9 straight completions as he falls out of bounds with a foot down at the 49 of Iowa State.
When I talk about the accuracy, watch this defender. He's going to buzz out. He knows that he's got to get underneath that number 1. Not a lot of guys can make that throw when you see body presence there, but he delivers it in the window on the outside into the white on the sidelines. That's what enables Laquiviante Gonzalez to reach out, extend out, and catch that ball. Beautiful
Gonzalez
pass.
from Cedar Hill, Texas, transfer from Texas A&M. He's a junior. And now here's a 3rd down running play. And once again, they continue to find success with Taylor Martin running it in a short yardage situation.
Well, David Beatty says that we love the way Stanley will go through his progressions. Look at him scanning left to right, extending the plays. Goes all the way down to his 4th or 5th option. And as long as he has time with the offensive line, he's dangerous in that capacity.
Throws it to Barbell.
Pass complete to number
Martin
82,
converted
Shaquem
on
Barbell.
3rd down. 1st and 10 pass to Barbell, bumped out inside the Iowa State 40. We'll spot him at the 37. And again, it gives them the short sticks you've been talking about today, Ben, as now Kansas looks at a 2nd down and 2. And Stanley's pass is incomplete. That will end his run. Going over Steven Sims on the pass, and it was with 9 straight completions for Carter Stanley.
And it's fine on that particular throw to press that a little bit, even with tight coverage. You don't want to put it in an area where the corner can make a play. He overthrows it, but only for a 2-yard situation to pick up 1st down. It's fine to press the field a little bit and be a little inaccurate. But
And
you
there's
can't
a
have
drop
that.
at Jeremiah Booker.
intended for number 88, Jeremiah Booker.
And it looks like they're going to stay with it and go for it on 4th down, which I think is the smart decision. You've had this defense on the heels through the whole game because of Carter Stanley's accuracy, the way he has this up-tempo offense going. Smart play here on 4th down.
They've already converted a 4th and 2 today, and it was in this vicinity of the field. They ran one just inside the Iowa State 35 earlier. This is at the 37. They had an 8-yard run, an 8-yard pass, that is, on 1st down, then 2 straight incompletions, and they'll take a timeout. Kansas State used a timeout for the first time in the game. It's with 10:24 left in the 2nd quarter. Kansas up 14-3. Now the Jayhawks, under the direction of head coach David Beatty, looking to win against an FBS opponent for the first time since beating Iowa State here in 2014 in November. Matt Campbell and the Iowa State Cyclones, although this is just his first year, he hasn't been here for the duration of it, but they've lost 14 straight on the road as they go into this test today. 4th and 2 out of the timeout. Kansas leaves the offense on the field. At the Cyclones 37. Oh, it's a quick kick. And it will roll into the end zone. Touchback after the quick kick on 4th and 2.
Field position is important, but is 17 yards really worth it in this situation when you're up 14-3? You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. A quick kick out of the end zone. It's a 17-yard difference. I would say just you're successful one time going on 4th down. You should have just went for it again.
Let's see if the Kansas defense can get the ball right back. It's a quick throw to Deshaunte Jones by Iowa State quarterback Jacob Park. And Jones hit hard after making his first move. Tevin Shaw delivering that hit at the 26.
Well, you go back to what I was talking about with Kansas's offense doing such a good job on 1st and 2nd down, give themselves some short sticks. This is what Iowa State needs to do. They need to settle down, calm down, make the throws to the outside. The receivers have to start making plays, stop dropping the football, and give yourself a chance, just like they did in that last play, to get short sticks, manageable situations.
Looking to throw the ball is Jacob Park, and he does throw it. And this time, Lazard secures it. He's had a couple of drops today, but pulls that in for a 1st down at the 37.
Well, and you can see how he can use his size to his advantage. He's a big 6'5" target. Corner was draped all over him, but it doesn't alter his path to the football because he's so strong. That's how you can use him in space, even when you've got guys hanging on his waist.
33rd straight game with a reception for Allen Lazard, as you saw, and the 150th in his Iowa State career. He's a junior from Urbandale, Iowa. That went for 10 yards. Now here's a running play, and slicing off the left side is Montgomery. Before that play, Ben, Iowa State had run it 10 times and thrown it 10 times. Montgomery there picks up 2 yards on the ground.
Well, again, it's nice to have balance. You don't have to have 50-50 balance as far as run pass goes, but it's just how effectively those play calls are. And again, I think the drops really early on by the receivers really halted and stopped a lot of their play calling progressions and where they wanted to go with the ball. If they clean those things up, clean up those mistakes, they can start putting together drives and respond to Kansas' offense.
Montgomery runs it again, the freshman from Cincinnati. Back-to-back 2-yard runs for Montgomery. He got hit by Anthony Alobia, among others, on the defense for Kansas.
Well, it looks like we have an injury for a Kansas player as now he kind of lays down on the field. You get a stoppage of play.
It's Alobia. They're looking at his right leg. 6'5" defensive end from Renton, Washington. Senior Anthony Alobia. Time out of the field with 8:07 left in the 2nd quarter. Just after Veterans Day. Men and women in uniform having a great time today at Memorial Stadium, Lawrence, Kansas. Jayhawks 14, Cyclones 3. 8:07 to go in the 2nd quarter. They are looking, the Kansas staff, at Anthony Alobia, who was helped off the field a moment ago after he'd made a tackle on a running play on 2nd down for Iowa State. 40-yard line, Cyclones have it, 3rd down, 7 yards to go. Park slides to his left, throws to his left, caught at midfield by Allen Lazard. And then Kansas's Mike Lee wrestles him down at the 50.
Well, Mike Lee, a freshman that they really are excited about, just had the tough coverage. They go man-to-man, and like we talked about with Allen Lazard, such a big target, big physical presence. Created the mismatch, and Lazard won that battle.
To the right side, Trevor Ryan. Lee on another tackle. Ryan down after a gain of 8.
And now we're starting to see Iowa State kind of pick up their momentum, get some successful plays on offense, picking up first downs, and now you can see the shift kind of now that Kansas' defense is a little bit on the ropes, especially on first down.
Jacob Park now up to 6 out of 8 throwing the ball. He will look to run it this time, and Kansas reads it very well. Wow, big hit by Daniel Wise.
And Daniel Wise is one of these guys, you'll see him up front, get to the quarterback. He's so strong. Watch him how he closes to the ball and just explodes through his hips. He's the guy that they say does a lot of the dirty work. A lot of his stuff doesn't show up in the stat line, but they love the way that he grinds and plays on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage.
42-yard line of Kansas, that's where the ball is. Moving people around on offense. Butler's in motion for Iowa State, and a run up the middle. And did he get it?
They look like they're going to spot him just short.
And Dorrance Armstrong with a tackle of Iowa State's David Montgomery.
Stop made by number 96.
They tried a lot of window dressing, get their receivers to motion across, distract the guys on the second level for Kansas defense, pack down the box and run the ball into the heart of the defense, and Kansas has stepped up. It is 4th and inches now for Iowa State.
They are 9 of 20 on 4th downs this year. And it is, as Ben said, just inches to go outside the 40. Montgomery with a first down. Cameron Rosser with a tackle, but not before Montgomery picks up what the Cyclones needed.
Well, Kansas did everything they could on that play. It's hard to dial anything up, even blitzes sometimes if they can't get home. The offense just has to get a few inches. Hard to stop them there. Good conversion, and again, keeping the drive alive for Iowa State.
David Montgomery, 8 carries, 54 yards on the ground today for the Cyclones, who have held the ball now for 5 minutes on the drive. 10th play. Park rolls left, and it's dropped. Another drop. This time it's Deshaunte Jones. Here's Anthony Masterson in Los Angeles with a Fox College football game break.
Top-ranked Alabama hosting Mississippi State. Bama feeling no LSU hangover, already up 10-0 in the second. Jalen Hurts with a shovel pass toward Darius Stewart, who takes it to the house. A 67-yard touchdown. Crimson Tide have already won 8 straight against the Bulldogs, looking to make it 9. It's now 24-0 Bama in the second.
A drop by Deshaunte Jones, and he's had a couple of those today for Iowa State. Now a timeout.
Yeah, you could tell that there's some sort of miscommunication with Jacob Park looking to the sidelines, trying to get
Iowa State.
exactly what
That's
the play
their first
was, and
timeout of the
Campbell
half.
didn't like it, and
Media
decided to call a timeout.
Live from the Smoky Iguana, located on the southwest corner of 6th.
Kansas up 14-3 as we welcome you back to Lawrence. Well, KU safety Mike Lee should be a senior in high school, but he took a bunch of online classes. He loaded up with classes the spring of his junior year and graduated early. And though he's young, the coaches say he is a mentally tough kid, and he has already made an impact on this Kansas defense. Mark?
Second on the team in tackles with 44 this year. Mike Lee from New Orleans. Back to throw Park out of a timeout with a 39, and Park's pass is way down the sideline for Alan Lazard and down to the Kansas 6.
Number 5, Alan Lazard. Coverage by number 8, Brandon Stewart.
Well, Brandon Stewart, you're going to see the blitzing linebackers come in here. That's going to man everybody up across the board, and Brandon Stewart has a tough job of guarding Alan Lazard. And it was one of those quintessential back shoulder throws that quarterbacks like to have in man coverage. And Lazard comes down with it. We take another look at the back shoulder throw. He sees the man coverage, throws it to the outside, and Lazard is experienced enough to understand that situation where the ball's going to go.
Now Iowa State will put in Joel Lanning for second down and goal of the 7. So look for quarterback run game
especially with Sam Harms, the tight end. He now readjusts up on the line, but we'll see him typically in the quarterback run game.
And Lanning trying to run it off the left side and swallowed up by Kansas's Courtney Arnick, who has 4 tackles now today. Daniel Wise was in the mix as well.
Well, like I talked about, there's tight end, there's your running back, and in this situation, up going in to score and on 3rd and short, they like to bring in Lanning to run behind those big, powerful blockers. And now we see another quarterback change as we Jacob Park come back in the game.
3rd and goal at the 4. And hold the phone. Timeout. Both teams have 2. Who has taken this one?
Looks like Kansas has taken this one.
Yes. This will leave Kansas now with 1 timeout for the last 3:40 of the first half. Jacob Park, sophomore quarterback from Charleston, South Carolina. This year completing 55% of his passes coming into today. 930 yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 picks. Again, those numbers going into today's game.
Well, and I think you can see why Matt Campbell likes him. I think if Matt Campbell had his way, he'd want him to develop into this pro-style quarterback. It gives him a little bit more flexibility with the running backs, but it's hard to deny how good Joel Lanning is. A former wrestler in high school that has this mentality that he will not be brought down, built like a linebacker, can throw. David Beatty for Kansas actually loves the way Joel Lanning can throw the football, loves his demeanor because he is so tough and gives you that dual threat identity. And you can see how philosophically they're using both quarterbacks, especially in the red zone. Lanning comes in to run the ball, and now Jacob Park gives you that element of throwing the ball.
And we'll see what they opt to do. And Park at quarterback on 3rd and 4 after the Kansas timeout on defense. Looking left, immediately going that way. Flag is down. Looks like Lazard still caught it. They're talking it over, and they've called it a touchdown.
What a beast. When you need a play, again, you go after your big 6. This is going to be a pass interference call. It's going to be declined, touchdown for Iowa State. But Alan Lazard, he's always there when you need him. He's had a couple drops. That one led to an interception.
On the field is a touchdown. Pass interference, defense number 10. That penalty will be declined.
Well, you can understand why Marnez Ogletree, number 10, has the tough duty of guarding this big 6'5 receiver. He's listed at 223. I'm going to guess he's closer to 230. A very big guy that can run. You see right there, manned up on the outside, just throw the ball up. Put it in a position where he can use his length to go and get it.
14-play drive that ends in Lazard's 15th career touchdown reception, ties him for 2nd in Iowa State history. Among those with 15 touchdown grabs, including recently graduated Quentin Bundridge.
Well, we talked about the quarterbacks flip-flopping. They brought Lanning in to run the ball, and then Park comes in to throw the ball. It's not bad coverage. They're trying to get Smithson underneath for any sort of undercutting routes. Put a man over the top. You see Ogletree there with the pass interference, ball in the air. He's draped all over Lazard. But again, it's hard to move him off his spot because he's so big and powerful. Puts it up high, uses that length, that big frame, that catching radius. That's how you draw it up, and that's how you execute. And a great answer, again, for this Iowa State offense.
Kansas 14, Iowa State 10 after the cold net and extra point a moment ago. And now we'll see Chris Francis ready to kick it off with 3:35 to play in the first half. Steven Sims, LaQuiviante Gonzalez back for Kansas.
To kick off for Iowa State, number 41, Chris Francis. Deep for Kansas, number 1, LaQuiviante Gonzalez. To number 11, Steven Sims.
Moved by Francis, and it's fielded at the goal line. And they're going to throw it back across. Now, LaQuiviante Gonzalez was laying down in the end zone. That was a very interesting attempt at a decoy. Sims goes back across, kind of like the actually Music City Miracle from many, many years ago in that Tennessee-Buffalo playoff game. And it ends up with a kick return for Kansas up to the 34, 35-yard line. Let's see where they spot it.
He was camouflaged. Blue jerseys, all blue tops and bottoms. Where is he? In the end zone with the blue end zone. And there he is. Oh, you don't see me. You don't see me. I'm all blue. I'm camouflage. That was almost a bad throw. That ball almost hit the ground. But Kansas will do anything in this situation to find a spark. They need to find an answer. Again, we've kind of set up this game that each team is looking for their first conference win. And it's going to take trick plays like that. A little deception to get the ball out of the end zone.
34-yard line for Kansas, 3:25 left in the half. Gonzalez with the trickery on the kickoff return. Now quarterback keeper. Stanley runs the ball for 2 yards. Here's Leslie McCaslin. Leslie.
Well, that last drive by Iowa State was huge for their defense. It finally gave them a chance to catch their breath. They've had a hard time getting off the field, and they looked very tired and defeated early on in this game. Their defensive coaches have been yelling at them, guys, you need to get stops. Take the fight to them. Mark?
Thanks, Leslie. Today's the 96th meeting between Kansas and Iowa State, dating back to the first meeting in 1898, won by Kansas 11-6. They lead the series with 50 wins. 39 Iowa State wins, including 5 of the last 6. Deon Kenner spins and fights forward. Good run by Kenner, the senior running back from Little Elm, Texas.
Yeah, what a nifty run. He has such good feet, and you see why he's hard to tackle, because that spin move was immediate and deliberate and quick and got back upfield going north and south.
Needed 8, gained 9. Play fake and a throw to Sims. And Sims turns away from one tackle and then ran out of another one. And steps out of bounds in Iowa State territory. Put him out at the Cyclones 47. That's a gain of 8 yards. Coming up on the FS1 College Football Halftime Show, Mike Hill, Robert Smith, Matt Leinart, and Dave Wanstead will preview Oklahoma State, ranked 13th in the country, playing Texas Tech. Plus, number 4, Washington tries to stay unbeaten. It's a 2nd and 2. Kenner. Room to run it. A lot of room to run it. Down the sideline. First down and a ton more. Willie Harvey pushed him out of bounds. He'll go out at the 23 of Iowa State.
Keep your eye on Adenijai right there. Their left tackle, big, strong guy, captures the edge. When you capture that outside shoulder, it allows the running backs to see that definitively and put their foot in the ground and attack that edge. A great block by Hakeem Adenijai there on that last run play.
The run by Kenner went for 24 yards, and Iowa State will use the second of their 3 timeouts. So both teams with 1 timeout left in the pocket for the last 1:56 of the first half. Here we've got a 14-10 Kansas lead over Iowa State. 1:56 left in the first half. 3 long drives today for Kansas. Now they're in the middle of their 4th.
Well, Leslie brought up a great point just about the Iowa State defense has to be taxed. Long drives, and it's not like they're just running downhill. They have to run so much horizontal with all this horizontal east-west passing. Those guys have to be tired.
And now they will break the formation out wide, and Stanley will throw it deep down the middle, and it's broken up. Michael Zuniga was the intended receiver. They even had split alignment out into the slot on the right side, Ben.
Well, and they explode out, and they try to confuse you. They're going to see Zuniga right there slipping up into the seam. You've got 3 guys to the right, 2 guys to the left. They do such a good job, Iowa State does defensively, of recognizing Zuniga as an eligible receiver lined up in the tackle position, and that's where they tried to expose them.
2nd down and 10. Stanley rolling out and throwing, coming back to the ball, but unable to hang on to it. Shaquem Barbell was well covered by DeAndre Payne.
Well, DeAndre Payne almost had a game-changing play. The ball is delivered a little late. He breaks down, and he tries to become the receiver, and you see Barbell doing just enough to break up that pass. That was a pick 6 written all over it.
DeAndre Payne is from Washington, D.C., and a transfer from Arizona Western Community College. Kansas has not had many 3rd and longs today. But they have 3rd and 10 right now at the Iowa State 23. Stanley under pressure, and Stanley is hit. Down he goes all the way back at the 30-yard line. The first hit was by Spencer Benton, and then Jaquan Bailey jumped in at the end.
In that situation, it's all about field position for your field goal kicker. He takes the sack, and it could be the difference on this attempt.
Spencer Benton, who had the sack from the hometown of Bob Feller, Van Meter, Iowa. Loss of 6 yards on that 3rd down sack, and it is 4th down coming up for Kansas at the Iowa State 29. Here comes Matthew Wyman. Wyman has been much better from long range this year. It's going to be a 46-yard attempt for Wyman, and just didn't move it over enough. He had that right to left angle, and it didn't go far enough to the left.
And again, you wonder, by taking that sack, does that make a difference for a kicker that coming into this kick was 7 of 12? Not exactly the most consistent kicker. And moving up just a few yards may have changed his ability to swing through that. And like you said, just push that ball a little bit to the right.
Iowa State used their last time out, but they still have 1 minute and 20 seconds, and obviously all of the things that you can do to manage the clock when you're on offense, stopping for first downs, to move the chains anyway, and then getting out of bounds. They have a good field goal kicker in Cole Netton, and the drive will start for Iowa State from the 29. Mike Warren in the backfield. He'll release late into the pattern, but they'll go up top, and a juggling catch by Allen Lazard.
Wow, he is feeling it. You can tell he's feeling it. Look at this concentration. Him on the outside as a #1 receiver. Once again, gets jammed, good coverage, throw it up to where only Allen Lazard could go and get it.
Went for 13 yards, and Lazard has really come to life. You said he's feeling it after a couple of early drops. Markers come in. Flags are down after there was a pass intended for tight end Sam Harms.
And I think it's going to be on Brandon Stewart, #8, who gave up that last touchdown to Lazard. Now in a crunch time situation, gets too handsy.
Pass interference, offense, number 87.
Wow, that's
15-yard
right.
penalty, replay, first down.
That's going to be Sam Harms, the walk-on tight end. That's a great call. We don't see that call made very often.
Right.
But that was a perfect call in that situation. You know, you can look at this Iowa State offense. We see Lazard and we see DeAndre Daly and Trevor Ryan. They only have one explosive play of over 50 yards throughout this whole season. So not an offense that can be that dynamic going down the field in a short situation.
And now an offense that's pushed back with a penalty as they'll run it. Mike Warren stayed in bounds. Arnez Ogletree delivers the hit for the tackle for Kansas.
And that being said, for Clint Bowen in this defense, don't try to get too aggressive. Understand and trust your guys that they're going to come up and make the sound tackle. Try to stay on top of as many routes as possible.
Another running play inside here for Iowa State. David Montgomery, tackled by Isaiah Bean, who had a sack earlier in the game.
Well, it looks like Matt Campbell's just going to take this thing into halftime and not try to press anything, make any bad decisions, and have it cost him here at the end of the first half.
I think their hopes of pressing anything probably went away whenever Sam Harms was called for offensive pass interference. Kansas will have the ball to start off the second half, and the Jayhawks get two long touchdown drives, one of them capped on a pass from Carter Stanley to Steven Sims Jr., and the other capped on a short run by Taylor Martin. At halftime, Kansas 14, Iowa State 10. Leslie McCaslin with Jayhawks coach David Beatty.
Well, Coach, what do you think of the way Carter Stanley has engineered the offense in the first half?
You know what? He started out pretty good. I thought he really, really led us to some nice drives. He's making good decisions up there with the RPOs and the things that we're trying to do with him. Man, I'd love to have that last throwback, man. We had a nice guy open down there, but hey, we got to capitalize because this team's too good.
Just the second time you guys have led at half this year. What do you tell your team?
Well, it's no different than any other game. We come in, it's 0-0. We got to come back out. We get the ball in the second half. We got to take advantage and go down and score.
All right, go, Coach. Thanks.
Halftime score, KU 14, Iowa State 10. Coming up next, we'll head to Los Angeles for the FS1 College Football Halftime Show. Mike Hill, Robert Smith, Matt Leiter, and Dave Wanstead preview Oklahoma State and Texas Tech, plus Washington's quest to stay unbeaten. The emotions of Veterans Day weekend. They can manifest themselves in many ways, and we all thank and appreciate those who serve for what they do for folks like us. Earlier today, B-2 Spirit of America from Whiteman Air Force Base in western Missouri. A flyover during the national anthem a few minutes before the kickoff here at Memorial Stadium in Lawrence, Kansas. Chris Francis is ready to kick off now for Iowa State to start the second half. We've seen a tricky return play today that involved Equiviante Gonzalez laying down in the blue insole with his blue uniform on, and Steven Sims fielding a kick and throwing it back across the field, but there won't be an opportunity for any razzle-dazzle as that kick goes into the end zone for a touchback. Here is Leslie McCaslin. Leslie.
Well, Cyclones head coach Matt Campbell said Kansas's offense is doing a good job doing what they're doing, going sideline to sideline. He said simply that his guys have to play better. They have to tackle better on defense, and they've really got to get themselves just aligned, he said. Offense, he felt like they did find something as the first half came to an end, but he said they have to just simply be more efficient, guys.
Matt Campbell in his first year as Cyclones head coach. They gave up 229 yards of offense to Kansas in the first half, including 2 long scoring drives, 88 and 76 yards.
Well, Kansas offense has done such a good job attacking the perimeter in the run game and in the pass game. And if I were David Beatty, I would stick with that approach of just making Iowa State's defense respond to you and see if they can step up. As we look at the first half stats here, the thing that really sticks out to me is Kansas's ability to run the ball on 113 yards. That has been the difference to me as you see it once again. Keon Kenner running up the middle for another big gain. In the first half, he was averaging 8.2 yards, and he's on a nice little clip already here early in the second half.
He's already run for 5 yards and for 10 yards. And he'll have another go. Keon Kenner for Kansas stood up just shy of the 45-yard line on a first down run. Kane Seeley with a tackle, and here are some Keon Kenner highlights from today.
Well, again, I think it's really the way that they have attacked the perimeter. This KU offensive line has not done a good job all season long about getting plays on the outside. They don't feel like they had the speed to get to the outside in the running back room. And now that Kenner is feeling it, this offensive line is feeling it, and a lot of it is set up because Carter Stanley, the young quarterback, is making throws and keeping his defense on their heels.
Now they'll run it with Taylor Martin, and Martin got past the initial wave of the line of scrimmage and is deep into the Iowa State secondary to the 33 of the Cyclones before brought down by Brian Peavy.
Taylor Martin lately has been getting a lot of carries. You see him lined up on the offensive left side. A little deception, getting the other running back to go across the face. And again, they're attacking the off-tackle area of this Iowa State defense and shredding them right now here in the second half.
And they go quickly, Kansas does, with another running play to Taylor Martin that gains a yard. That's 9 carries today for Martin. So he's about to move to his 4th game this year of 10-plus carries. His high was 18 in the 1-point loss to TCU. At the Iowa State 32. Stanley now looking to throw it deep and throws it up for Equiviante Gonzalez. And it's incomplete with Brian Peavy. Step for step with Gonzalez coverage-wise.
And that's only the 8th pass that they've had in this game of over 10 yards. This is not really an offense that's built to throw the ball down the field, and you can kind of see why. A little inaccurate. He had the coverage that he wanted, didn't get the separation on the outside, but you can't force these throws. Stay efficient, keep throwing the ball east and west, let the guys make plays.
Martin comes back, and Martin runs the ball on 3rd and 9 for a first down. Hit by Mike Johnson, but not a running situation you would have thought, Ben. 3rd and 9, they convert on the ground.
Well, this offense has been struggling really all year long to find some sort of identity, and right now, against this defense, I think they found it. They have 2 guys in Taylor Martin and Keon Kenner that can flat out run the ball. Good feet, good acceleration. They don't go down on first contact, and that really has been the difference in this game so far.
Following up his 13-yard run on 3rd down and 9. Taylor Martin just went for 2 to the Iowa State 17. Significant personnel changes on both sides for Kansas and Iowa State. Now Martin has 11 carries for 64 yards on the ground today. This is Stanley. Oh, the ball came flying out to the left side, and it was hung on to at the 15 by Steven Sims.
Was that designed? Did he? It's a 3-man rush, and those guys get home. And Carter Stanley with the awareness and the risky throw to the outside. My goodness, that could have been a horrible decision, but it works out for Carter Stanley.
Oh, look at all of the personnel changes. They wanted to snap it with Iowa State in an offside position. Ben, it really looked like on that previous play at live speed that it was just a hit that made the ball fly out, and it just went to the right spot. But you're right, Stanley threw it. But this is the chaos a moment ago.
Well, if Kansas did not change personnel, Iowa State does not have the luxury of having the extra time to run on the field.
3rd down running play, sweeping out to the right. Oh, trouble for Keon Kenner. Gabe Luna with penetration, knifing into the backfield, and this is going to go for a big loss. 5, maybe 6 yards.
Well, and that's what they haven't had all game long, is you'll see Luna just come right here and defeat, undercuts the block. They have not played on the other side of the line of scrimmage all game long, and what a perfect opportunity to get that tackle for loss and set them back on this field goal attempt.
Well, remember, there was a sack that was taken before the last Matthew Wyman field goal attempt, and we don't know how much that caused him to misfire from 46 yards out. This will be from 37, and he hits it. Wyman now 7 out of 9 from 40 and in this year, and has made 4 straight. 37-yard boot, Matthew Wyman. It is good. Early 3rd quarter in Lawrence. Kansas 17, Iowa State 10. Kansas 17, Iowa State 10. 10:35 to play 3rd quarter. We are at Memorial Stadium in Lawrence, Kansas, and a moment ago we saw Kansas drive 11 plays, 55 yards, 53 of the yards covered on the ground. There was just that one unorthodox Carter Stanley pass out to Steven Sims.
Very unorthodox and very, very risky, man. That was a great play, but could have been a devastating play.
Dene Nwangu was a high jump champ at high school in Texas. He downs it in the end zone. Let's see what the Iowa State offense can do with Alan Lazard, their leading pass catcher for the season and for today.
And he really started to feel it at the end of the first half, and Jacob Park did such a good job of recognizing coverage and putting it in positions where his big body can go up and get it. He's not a burner. He's not going to wow you with flat out 40 speed, but he knows his strengths and weaknesses, and his strengths are using that size. And as that second quarter kind of wound down, he really caught on fire. He's going to be key here in the second half, but I really think they have to find some sort of sustained drives because their defense has been on the field for such a long time.
Hart with a deep ball down the left side and overthrows Deshaunte Jones. So let's check back in on Allen Lazard, who is tied for second in Iowa State history in touchdowns after a grab today. Third in receiving yards, fourth in receptions because of what he's done today, and has a chance to make it to third by the end of the day.
You know, actually really curious to see what he does at the next level, whether it's after this year, which he's eligible, or he plays his senior year. What is he going to be in the NFL? A receiver, or could he put on some weight and be one of those Jimmy Graham type of split-out tight ends that really can cause some mismatches?
Well, they were throwing to him. Jacob Park was. It's broken up by Tevin Shaw. I mentioned that Lazard could get to third in Iowa State history today. Just needs 2 to tie, 3 to pass. R.J. Sumrall for third in Iowa State history in receptions.
Well, and this is where I disagree with their approach here in the second half. Is your defense has been on the field a lot throughout this game. Try to establish some sort of run game and grind out this clock and pick up first downs on the ground.
2 straight incompletions. They need to salvage something out of the drive. They do by dialing up the aforementioned Lazard, who needed 10 and ran an 11-yard route.
Well, so much throughout this game on both sides of the ball. They realize that there's man-to-man coverage situations, and they take the receivers on the outside, run them up the field, and use the inside receiver to clear out and get out into that void to pick up first downs and move the chains.
Needed all of that wingspan to reach out and pull in the pass from Jacob Park, who has 10 completions now out of 15 passes attempted.
Big guy in the backfield, expect to run.
Montgomery stays on his feet, driving forward. Great strength shown by David Montgomery, the freshman running back from Cincinnati.
And we've seen this route combination throughout. You're going to see these outside receivers clear out, and Lazard, the go-to guy, find that void and use that big frame to get the body position. You see how everything clears out? Both offensive coordinators been recognize those in key situations and hitting both defenses with those routes.
Montgomery just ran for 12 yards. Has 76 rushing yards today. Montgomery does for Iowa State. And he will add to the total with a big hole in this first down handoff. He bounces off one, bounces off another. He's inside the Kansas 35.
Well, Iowa State decides to go big, and you're going to see Justin Chandler right here, the big tight end, be the lead blocker. You see how he positions himself? And then Montgomery can use his hips to run off of and creating that big lane with this big body with Chandler.
18-yard run, then Montgomery once again with yards after contact and delivering hits himself after contact. Keith Loneker Jr. has him down after a 4-yard run.
Well, you can see why they were so high on him. They recruited him to go to Toledo out of Cincinnati, Division III Offensive Player of the Year as a quarterback in a running system. He knows how to run the ball, and you can see why he was so important to them to get him at Toledo. Matt Campbell takes the job here at Iowa State and brings him along. They love this young player's talent running the ball.
It's 13 carries, 98 yards, his best day in his freshman season. Now they'll throw it to Trevor Ryan, and Ryan is pushed out by Fish Smithson. But after they pick up a first down, Iowa State on the move to the Kansas 22.
And they're going to use tempo as well to keep this defense on their heels.
Montgomery running, and penetration into the backfield and nowhere to go. Only able to slide forward for a yard. Like Courtney Arnick was the one who was first into the backfield for Kansas, Ben.
Well, and Damani Mosby as well, number 13, came off, screaming off the edge. He does a good job of actually redirecting and wrapping his arms around the ball carrier, stopping them for just a short gain on what looked like could have been a much bigger gain for Montgomery.
Now Kene Nwangu is into the game. The running back lined up to the right of Jacob Park. Midway through the third quarter, Iowa State driving, looking for a tying touchdown. Park flush from the pocket, rolled away from the pressure, throws on the move, and then a cut is made to the inside. This is Carson Epps, who will lower his head. I'm sorry, it's Nwangu, 20, not 80.
again, using his athleticism to extend the play. He saw everything was covered, went through his progressions, and found Nwangwu just kind of sitting down in that soft zone in scramble coverage. Nice job using his legs and delivering that ball.
Lazard gave him a good block. And Nwangwu catches a pass for the first time in his freshman season.
Mike Lee has to come out of this ball game, not exactly sure what happened. Had a discussion with the officials, and they made him come off the field.
Nwangwu is the running back. He just caught the pass. Ball at the 5-yard line, first and goal.
They got man coverage. They may like what they see with Lazard on the outside.
Deshaunte Jones in motion. Nwangwu runs the ball, and he finds the end zone. Barker's down. Came in right about the time that Nwangwu was going over the goal line.
Offense, number 53. 10-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
Patrick Scoggins. We'll see him right there, the right guard. Engage, and as the linebacker's trying to get off, keeps holding on, and that's where they get him. Too many self-inflicted wounds by both teams when they get in the red zone.
And that usually doesn't happen for Iowa State, given that they've scored on 24 of 26 red zone possessions this year going into today. Now Park will throw, has a man open out on the right side, a cut by Deshaunte Jones to the outside, and they will get it done after the penalty for a touchdown.
Go, Deshaunte!
And Clint Bowen decides now, you'll see this, another clear out. Clint Bowen decides to go manned up. It's like sort of a pseudo pick route. And Deshaunte Jones, who's had sort of a rough day, he's had 3 drops credited to him, comes up big when Iowa State needs him the most.
To tie the game, Cole Net. Oh, blocked extra point. They can run this back for 2, and it's number 2, Dorrance Armstrong, the sack specialist. They're going to lateral this to Fish Smithson. And Scoggins, who had the holding penalty a moment ago, makes the tackle. Deshaunte Jones with the 12-yard touchdown reception. There was a miscue, though, on the extra point that we'll show you in a moment. Kyle Starcevich, the holder, mishandled snap. Cole Netton couldn't get any leg on the attempt. On the 5-yard line. Laquidionte Gonzalez off the Chris Francis kickoff. And Gonzalez is hit hard with Kansas in front 17-16. This is why Iowa State didn't come away with their 17 points. Kansas with their second blocked extra point this season. Starting at their own 23, their second possession of the second half. They already have a field goal to show for their first drive.
Run the ball. That's all Kansas has to do at this point. Force Iowa State to step up and show that they can stop you running the ball. Don't try to change anything. This game is basically tied in your mind, so just keep running the ball.
And they will run the ball. And Jostin Thomas falls on Keon Kenner, who had a negative play on his last carry to actually drop him back down below 100 yards rushing for the day.
Well, anytime that you can have a running back in the middle of the third quarter approaching 100 yards, you're doing an awfully good job up front with your linemen and doing a good job executing around the ball.
And Kenner's at 15 carries, 96 yards. Incomplete. Low throw to Laquidionte Gonzalez.
Well, and you heard there one of the coaches yell from the sidelines, "Get the ball up." I mean, everything was there. Laquidionte attacks the corner, comes back and gets the separation. Carter actually had great anticipation, just a bad throw, low and down on the ground.
They're down 10. Swing it out on the right side. It's caught on the move. And making a man space and converting is Keon Kenner. All the way down to the Iowa State 46-yard line.
And it's Larry Hughes. You'll see him come out on this little screen pass. You're going to see a lot of traffic come right in front of you. They clear everything out, run the screen pass to the right side, and all Larry Hughes has to do is get his body on one defender, and there they go, converting a key third down.
A 3rd and 10 conversion. They had a 3rd and 9 conversion on the last drive, remember? A 29-yard pass play to Keon Kenner. Now this is 2nd down and 6 with Kenner running. Patient run by Kenner, waiting for that hole to open up and then driving forward down to the 39 of Iowa State.
Well, you said it. That was patience. He had to wait for that pulling guard coming all the way from the right side to kind of clear out. He doesn't get the block, but he had to wait for him and hug his hips so the hole would open up.
3rd and 1. Kenner. Oh, big room. Kenner. He's got the 20. He will reach the end zone. Touchdown, Kansas.
Number 22.
And like I said before, when this drive started, even though you're up by 1 point, in your mind, this is a tie ball game. Don't panic. Don't change your approach. Iowa State has not stopped you with their rush defense. They've been on the field a long time. This is the time you exert your will and your physicality, and you wear down this defense in front. And you'll see these guys go to work up there. It's Keon Kenner with just a straight north and south run to put Kansas up 24-16. This offense can be explosive. They just haven't found any rhythm, and they really haven't been in a position points-wise to find that balance on offense, and they found it today, and you can see why. With the young quarterback distributing the football very well, get the running backs running downhill, they can be explosive.
Run all the way across the field, down to the 20 is Nwangu. Here's Leslie McCaslin. Leslie.
Well, if you look over at this Kansas sideline, you'll see a lot of these wristbands that say Team Cole on them. They're for 7-year-old Cole Hayden, who is the son of assistant AD Shanda Hayden. He is currently undergoing chemotherapy for cancer, and this KU football team has rallied around him, shaving their heads in support of Cole. And then earlier today, if the Haydens are watching at home, Iowa State's football team also signed this for Cole. Cole, all of us at Fox, Iowa State's football team, we are all pulling for you. Keep fighting.
Thank you, Leslie. Great report. And what a great gesture of sportsmanship and support for Cole and for everyone surrounding a fellow Big 12 program from Iowa State for Kansas. Here's a running play on 1st down and another effective running play for freshman David Montgomery, who has a big afternoon working. Here's Shanda, Cole, and Steve Hayden.
I mean, there's nothing else you can say other than, like, Cole, Hayden family, we're all pulling for you. Cancer sucks, man. And Leslie said it. We're all pulling for you, buddy.
Well, you can hear the emotion in David Beatty's voice cracking a little bit in his interview right before the kickoff with Leslie. Big running play again. Montgomery is just chewing up yards. I'm sorry, that's Mitchell Harger, 22, not 32. Mitchell Harger runs the ball, and all the way up to near midfield for Iowa State.
You know, in a similar approach, Iowa State, they're not going to change their game plan. They found some success running the ball on that last drive, and they're going to keep pounding right now as they hopefully can drive down the field. And again, give their defense some time off.
Quick throw. Dondre Daly catches it, and Daly able to ward off a defender, Mike Lee, and move forward to the 37-yard line of Kansas.
And this is uncharted territory for Kansas' defense. They have not been in this position late in a football game with a lead, albeit for one game. So they have to learn how to close out games. Don't feel the pressure of trying to not lose a game, but to go out and try to win the game. It's a difference in attitude, and they have to go out and show it and prove it to this young team.
Mitchell Harger is still in. He had a 16-yard run a moment ago, and he'll have another chance to run the ball. Found room off the right side before he's dragged down by Keith Lonecker Jr. at the 32.
Number 33, Keith Lonecker Jr.
One went for 5 yards for Harger.
5 at the 32.
4 different players have moved in at running back for Iowa State today. Harger, the 4th, getting his first opportunity for touches here in the 3rd quarter.
We've talked about the importance of short sticks for both offenses, and clearly 5 yards on first down makes it a lot easier for Matt Campbell in this offense.
Harger running it, 2nd down at 5, and look at that gap to run. Mitchell Harger is dropped by the ankles. Mike Lee might have just saved a touchdown for the Kansas defense.
Well, it's going to show up on the left side of your screen. Look, everybody, Bobek, Sheda, those guys on the front are pulling across the line and getting those big bodies for Harger to run behind.
And how about Harger with a 16-yard run and a 17-yard run now on this drive for Iowa State? A drive that started at the 20 and has moved to the Kansas 15. Again, Harger waits, has a hole, and then taken off his feet inside the 10 at the 8.
They use a similar approach with Deshaunte Jones coming in motion and flashing across the screen. That's just enough time to get the guys on the second level to try to honor that with their eyes, and then they hand the ball off to Harger and run behind the blocking fullback on the left side of the line of scrimmage.
Harger came into today with only 5 carries this season for 20 yards. Harger has 4 carries for 45 yards on this drive. And they'll give it to him a 5th time, and he will cut and sidestep a tackle and take it inside the 5 for a first down.
And again, Iowa State doing such a good job using their guys up front to pull, and that time it was Brian Sheda, the left guard, coming over the top to provide that running lane.
And they'll hand it off to Harger on 1st and goal. And he's jammed up after a short gain, Dorrance Armstrong. It'll be 2nd and goal to the 2.
Stop by number 37, Shaw.
And now Sam Steenbuckner, number 47, comes into the game. They're going big tight ends with Steenbuckner and Justin Chandler, possibly trying to run this ball in here again.
Motion here, they'll give it though to Harger, and Harger doesn't have the same size of holes to run through as he did earlier on the drive. It is down at the 1.
Well, now they're getting a little bit too predictable with that orbit motion right in front of the quarterback. I would expect eventually you're going to see that ball either directly snap to the receiver or a quick handoff from Park to get them on an end around.
Final minute of the 3rd quarter. Kansas at home up by 8, but Iowa State is on the lip of the cup. Both tight ends move, Chandler and Steenbuckner. Park wants him to snap the ball. They'll give it to Harger, 3rd and goal at the 1. He plunges forward. There's a penalty marker down.
I think you're going to have an illegal formation.
Legal formation or illegal shift. With 14 seconds left in the 3rd quarter.
There's a lot of confusion from Jacob Park looking to the sidelines, trying to get guys lined up. They had 2 tight ends to the right. They wanted to shift them at the same time to the left-hand side, but the clock was winding down.
The ruling on the field is that the runner is short of the goal line. Illegal shift on the offense. A 5-yard penalty. Replay 3rd down.
See the confusion from Matt Campbell. See the guys up top. Those are the big tight ends. They're waiting. Everybody a little confused. Lazard talking to the guys on the outside. And they pop Iowa State for an unorganized illegal shift as they're knocking on the doorstep. Now a much harder conversion 6 yards away.
Fifth penalty today for Iowa State for 59 yards.
He is still in force.
I believe that Brad Van Bart just said the ruling on the field was a touchdown. Is that what he said? And the 5-yard penalty is enforced. Some noise from the Kansas faithful, hoping to provide a boost for their defense, trying to keep Iowa State out of the end zone.
I'll look for something with Trevor Ryan, number 19, in the slot. He goes in motion.
They'll go the other way to the left side, and it opens up, and it's a touchdown. Mitchell Harger. He puts an exclamation point on a drive that he primarily engineered with his ability to move it on the ground for Iowa State.
What a gutsy call. 3rd and goal from the 6. You ran the ball all the way down there. They stick with their guns. Mitchell Harger, very responsible for a lot of those yards on this drive. And they do the same thing again. They get Trevor Ryan, the slot receiver, to motion out, and they hand the ball off to Harger for the touchdown.
They will go for 2 to try and rectify the blocked extra point earlier in the 3rd quarter. This is for the tie. Hart rolling, throwing. Trevor Ryan is hit and kept out of the end zone. Big tackle in the open field by Brandon Stewart. And Kansas stays in front by 2.
What a huge play for Brandon Stewart. Does such a good job of using his eyes and reading his keys. He knows he doesn't have to run with his receiver. He sees the fake handoff. Here's the touchdown. You'll see, once again, this fly motion just to get all the guys on the 2nd level to try to honor that. And they hand the ball off to Buckner once again. Great blocking up to the 2nd level. And Iowa State using the ground game to get back into this football game.
David Montgomery had a carry on that drive, but the rest of it was Mitchell Harger. Here's the 2-point play.
Well, and that's where they wanted to set up that motion to get everybody thinking they may do the same thing. And Brandon Stewart does such a great job of playing his keys, using his eyes, staying home, and making the clean tackle.
6-yard rushing touchdown for Mitchell Harger, who had 58 rushing yards on that drive. Montgomery carried it on the first play of the drive, and then it was Harger for the rest of the drive, Ben. But once again, the kicking game cost him a point previously, and then trying to make up for that going for the 2-point conversion. Kansas with a hold, and they maintain the lead. With 10 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter, here comes the kickoff from Chris Francis. Caught by Laquaviante Gonzalez, 7-yard line. He's over the 20, over the 25, and with 4 seconds left in the quarter, he's down at the 27. In honor of this Veterans Day weekend, Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with your grateful nation at its dedication to supporting special operations veterans as they transition into their next successful career. Visit foxsportsupports.com to learn more. Quite a game we have here.
This is great. I mean, and really, I'm just really happy for both teams. A lot to be decided here still. We've got a whole nother quarter to play, but Iowa State's been in a lot closer games. But they've blown a lot of leads in the 2nd half. Kansas hasn't really been in games like this. Normally, the way their season's been going, they've been blown out. They have been close in games. So for these players, as they approach the 4th quarter, be winning this game and coming down to a tight game, they're going to learn a lot about their guys, how they can finish games.
The final play of the 3rd quarter is a 2-yard run for Taylor Martin. Shante Jones scored early in the game, but Kansas right now has a 24-22 lead at home as we head to the 4th quarter of Fox College Football. With 45 minutes played, it is Kansas 24, Iowa State 22. Through 3 quarters here at Memorial Stadium in Lawrence, Kansas. The two teams separated by 2 points on the scoreboard are separated by 2 yards of offense. Kansas outgaining Iowa State today, 363 to 361. Here's Carter Stanley throwing, and it's caught, turning and staying in bounds, and just past the first down marker, it appears, is Laquiviante Gonzalez, stood up by Brian Peavy.
Well, and you know, I'm kind of an older school guy, right? I mean, we talk about the current state of college football. I love the fact that they're running more than they're throwing. It's been a fun game, physical football game, a chess match of sorts with multiple quarterbacks for Iowa State, a young quarterback in Kansas, and both teams are relying on the ground to wear each other out.
Down for no gain on the ground was Taylor Martin, tackled by Vernell Trent. Before the last pass for Carter Stanley for Kansas, the two quarterbacks today, Stanley and Jacob Park, had both thrown for 151 yards to further illustrate the evenness of today's game. Stanley trying to maintain his balance on a scramble, and I don't think he got back up to the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a slight loss, a yard loss. Josh Jawless credited with a sack for a loss of 1.
And the Iowa State crowd doing what they can to try to cause some noise and make it hard to operate for this Kansas offense. This is a very critical 3rd and 11.
Back to throw Stanley. And Stanley will send it way down the left side and almost was able to find the waiting hands of Steven Sims Jr.
That was an impressive throw. That was not far off. They get their most dependable receiver in the right situation with the right leverage. He wins off the line of scrimmage, and Carter Stanley really kind of put that thing where it should have been. That Steven Sims should actually turned over his other shoulder and should have had that ball.
He was covered by DeAndre Payne. Here's a punt. Remember that Cole Moose has an 82-yard punt this season, but he did not hit that one the way he wanted. It will be out for Iowa State, and they'll start right on the button at the 30-yard line. Just a 33-yard punt there, Ben.
Now, can Kansas's defense step up and stop the running game for Iowa State? They've been opposing their will here in the second half, running the ball with David Montgomery and Mitchell Harger. Can this defense learn from their mistakes in this last drive and stop them on the ground?
Kansas defending a 2-point lead. 13.5 minutes to go. Iowa State with the ball for the first time in the 4th quarter. Montgomery's back in at running back. Hart, a short roll to his left, and then a bullet pass out to Alan Lazard and out of bounds for a first down.
Well, I love the fact that they thought and they guessed right that Kansas was going to bring some pressure, and they called for a play to get Park on the outside to move the pocket and allow him to find Lazard.
12 yards. Now DeShante Jones.
Pass is complete.
In the passing game, that's really all we're seeing, by in large part, Iowa State target Lazard and Jones.
9-yard gain of play.
Again, once again, it's the clear out by the #1 receiver and the #2 receiver as an out-cutting route to the outside. Both defenses, they need to stop playing man coverage in those situations, zone it up, and allow your corners to jump those routes and pick off a ball.
That pass play went for 9 yards. Is this going to be a running down? 2nd and 1. Iowa State at the 49 of Kansas. It is a running down. And it's a big running play for David Montgomery. A defender has the angle and able to cut him down just shy of the goal line.
The ball carrier.
Mike Lee kept him out of the end zone.
David Montgomery.
It's Brian Bobeck, number 61, the center. He's been so active right in front of the court. It's just a full block over the top
46-yard gain.
that allows them to create that lane.
That went for 46 yards. Now to try to finish it off and regain the lead. Montgomery running, and he's blasted. He is blasted just short of the goal line. Hard hit, delivered, it looks like by Courtney Arnick.
Stopped by number 33.
Keith Laudiker Jr. as well. And DeIsaac Davis is down right now. Iowa State looking for the lead.
Kansas 24, Iowa State 22. Iowa State knocking on the door right now, and it's been all about the running game. This season, running to the left has been the most effective at 5.7 yards on average, and this is the same for today. Running the ball effectively off tackle, running to the right, running to the left, and look at how many times they run to the left with Brian Bobeck at center, Brian Shetta as the left guard. Those guys did a tremendous job of opening up the lanes on the left side, as you see Bobeck there with another nice kick-out block, folding over from the center position, and not to be forgotten, Patrick Scoggins on the right side doing a good job pulling as well. So far, so good for this Iowa State running game.
And the running game has 1 yard separating them from the lead. Motion for Lazard. Joel Lanning is in at quarterback, and he's going to run it, and he's going to go behind Bobeck and go into the end zone. Iowa State in front.
And two things going on there. We just talked about their success running to the left. They do the same thing. And then when you see big Joel Lanning come in at quarterback, a big, powerful runner, you know as a defense, they're going to run the ball. If they pass, then hey, they got one on us. But that time, Iowa State shows their hands. They bring in their big bruising running back or quarterback that can run the ball and punch it in to go up 28-24 as they line up now for another 2-point conversion attempt.
That's the 6th rushing touchdown this season for Joel Lanning. The ball is being moved over to the other hash mark, it looks like here. And Jacob Park is back in at quarterback. This is a 2-point conversion attempt for Iowa State to go in front by 6 points. And they don't, because the pass is dropped by Carson Epps.
And Epps stumbled coming out of his break. That actually threw everything off. The ball's delivered where it's supposed to be, but because Carson Epps stumbles coming out of his break, that's where the incomplete pass happened. And once again, you bring in your big bruising quarterback that can run, you pull Bobeck to center and fold him over the top. They have found success running to the left with this offense, especially with big Joel Lanning at quarterback. And here's the 2-point conversion. There's the stumble by Epps. Ball's placed timing-wise and accurately where it's supposed to be, but Epps just trips over his own feet, and now Iowa State 0 for 3 today in 2-point conversion attempts.
They have left a lot of points on the field.
Let's go, Kansas! Come on, Hawks!
They had the blocked extra point and then have missed 2 subsequent 2-point conversion attempts, that is, trying to make up for that. And the lead is only 4 for the Cyclones over Kansas. It was a 5-play, 70-yard drive. David Montgomery had a big 46-yard run to get the ball all the way down to the 3-yard line. High kick. Caught at the 5-yard line. There's a run back by Martin. And short of the 20. Let's get caught up with our USAA game summary here in the second half. Matthew Wyman got the scoring started for Kansas, put him up 7 with a 37-yard field goal. Lashonte Jones. Nice move out in space. Finds his way into the end zone. Keon Denner, look at this. 39-yard touchdown run for Kansas. Iowa State would answer right back. A drive highlighted by Mitchell Harder running for 58 yards, including the last 6. And then just a moment ago, 1-yard run by quarterback Joel Lanning, knocking one of his own offensive linemen off his feet. Julian Good-Jones went down. Now does Kansas have an answer? Looks like they're ready for one. Oh, big hit. Kamari Cotton-Moya unloaded on Keon Kenner, but he still has the first down. I know you like that hit, though, Ben.
Well, I love it because it's a successful play offensively as they pick up a first down, but then that's how you put an exclamation point on the tackle.
Quick pass. Keegan Brewer caught it. and immediately thrown down. This is a good, clean, hard, legal hit.
Take a look at it again. Cotton Moya, their veteran safety, knows how to fill the running lane.
Shoulder into the chest. Nothing in terms of leading with the crown of your helmet. No helmet to helmet.
That's just a great, clean tackle.
Here's Taylor Martin running the ball. Turning it upfield. Drive started near the 20. And now it's up at the 40 for Kansas. Vernell Trent with a tackle. And this will officially be the 39. Going quick tempo on 3rd and a short 2. Running it. Martin. First down. Taylor Martin's really delivered a lot of successful 3rd and short, 3rd and medium range runs today.
Well, he's not even really a change of pace back because Keon Kenner, he's quick and fast as well. So you have 2 guys that really know how to run the ball. They can get the ball and accelerate north and south. It makes it so hard under defense, especially late in the 4th quarter when they've been tired and they've been worn down.
Martin at 5 yards a pop today, going into that run, 15 carries, 75 yards, and Gabe Luna will take him down after a 7, maybe just a 6-yard run for Kansas.
Well, and you can start to see why, with some of these chunk run plays, why Iowa State is 108 in the country in rush defense.
They give up 224 rush yards a game. Now Stanley bluffed the throw, escaped Gabe Luna, turns and spins, and is right on what they need for a first down. Mitchell Myers brought him to the turf.
And you can just understand why this kid is so electric. He brings an intensity and enthusiasm. He's not just a passer. He can run with the ball, and he is athletic to extend plays like that. Nice blocking on the outside and good awareness by his receivers to come back and crack back, spring him just for a few more yards.
And enough yardage for a first down. A run-oriented drive for Kansas. It's still on the ground for the Jayhawks. Taylor Martin from the Iowa State 48. Kane Seeley with a tackle after a 2-yard run.
And you can see David Beatty's approach. They're going to substitute now, but they've been going up-tempo quick, again, to try to keep this defense on their heels. Not a great rush defense. And another way you can exploit that is by speeding everything up and not allowing them to get lined up.
From Coral Springs, Florida, number 10, Khalil Herbert is in the game. They play fake to him at running back, and a long pass play, and well overthrown. Looking for Shaquem Barbell. Carter Stanley going deep for Kansas.
It was targeted for Barbell, the number 2 receiver. And luckily it wasn't thrown to Gonzalez because he was the outside the receiver that actually stepped out of bounds and could not have been the first player to touch that ball. Nonetheless, 3rd down conversion on that overthrow.
3rd and 8. Kansas the ball down by 4. Stanley's going to roll, and he's in trouble. He does throw it. Oh, it's caught. They're going to pick up some yardage and maybe enough to give David Beatty something to think about. Twice today, Carter Stanley was inches away from being sacked and got rid of the ball.
Carter Stanley is going to give David Beatty a heart attack. I mean, how risky again was that throw? Throwing into traffic as you're losing sight of the receiver. And here they are, 4th down attempt for Kansas.
They picked up 4 yards on the pass to Gonzalez. They need 4 here. It's Sims! And Sims tried to make a cut and slipped, and he's short of the first down by 2 yards. Turned over on downs at the Iowa State 40 with 8:21 to go. There's the catch by Sims on the shallow cross, but could not pick up the first down. Steven Sims, the leading receiver for Kansas this season, but came up 2 yards short of the first down a moment ago. A turnover on downs, and Iowa State and Matt Campbell, a 4-point lead, 8:21 left on the road. Their last 5 drives, 4 touchdowns at the end of the half. There's motion for Trevor Ryan. David Montgomery runs it. David Montgomery hit in the backfield by Daniel Wise. All right, let's look back at the 4th down play, Ben.
Well, this is nothing more than just they're trying to clear everybody out and get Sims to get in underneath. But the problem is Sims has to get to the sticks. You can't run it that shallow. Look how much space that he had. The clear out somewhat worked. They sat in a zone. They knew something like that was going to happen. But if Sims just runs to the sticks and the ball's delivered, it doesn't matter if he gets tackled on the impact. He'll pick up the 1st down. So bad route running by Steven Sims to kill that drive.
A tackle for a 3-yard loss, though, by Daniel Wise, as Iowa State at 2nd and long, and Lazard is brought down right after the catch at the 44 by Keith Lonecker Jr. Probably should point out right now that Kansas came into today 10th in FBS, averaging 8 tackles for loss a game, and they get on the right foot on this defensive drive with that tackle by Wise.
Yeah, and they haven't had much of those plays this game, so if you're going to need it, get it on these drives, and they did that. And for a guy that missed some time with a little bit of an injury, got banged up early in the game, it's nice to see Daniel Wise come back in because he can be so disruptive.
There's a huge moment. Iowa State on 44, under 7 to go, 3rd down, and about 5.5 yards. Park stands in the pocket and throws, and it's caught. 1st down at the 45-yard line, and Alan Lazard using his big frame to post up the defender and make the catch against Mike Lee.
Watch Lazard attack. He attacks the defender and gets the defenders on his heels. Watch that. He didn't know if he was going to go vertical or what he was going to do. He crossed over his footwork, opened his hips, and that's when Lazard put his foot in the ground and broke off the route. Great route running by Alan Lazard on that 3rd down conversion.
4 100-yard receiving efforts for Alan Lazard, 9 for 110. Now Park up top, incomplete. Trying to go to Sam Harms, who's caught 2 passes this year.
Well, it's the right call. We have not seen any play-action pass over the middle of the field. Both teams doing such a good job winning on the ground that eventually, especially late in the game, that's when play-action pass over the middle of the field can be successful. Just overthrow Sam Harms.
The incompletion stopped the clock with 6:15 left in the game. That probably an important part of the story as well. Now Matt Campbell running up the field.
He ran about 30 yards to get that timeout.
Running like David Montgomery.
Timeout, Iowa State. That's our first timeout of the half, media timeout.
The lead is 4. Iowa State takes a timeout. Iowa State and Kansas looking both, of course, for their first Big 12 wins. Someone will grab it. We'll find out in just over 6 minutes who it's going to be. Iowa State has trailed today by 11. It's 14-3 Kansas at one point in the game, but now they've gone in front 28-24. It's a 2nd down and 10 after a Matt Campbell timeout for the Cyclones at the Kansas 45. Park throwing and caught, and backpedaling out of bounds is Deshaunte Jones. Right now, Anthony Masterson is in LA with a Fox College Football game break.
Number 10, Penn State at Indiana. Nittany Lions had erased a 10-point second-half deficit, but the Hoosiers come back as Richard Lago finds Nick Westbrook for a 40-yard TD. Indiana looking for their 2nd win in 20 all-time meetings with Penn State.
3rd down and 6. After a 4-yard pass to Deshaunte Jones. Play clock is at 7 seconds. Park taking a long time to sort it out. Ready for the snap. Throwing over the middle, and a catch made at the 30-yard line. Now there is a marker down, and it's right around the line of scrimmage. Lazard caught it, but hold everything.
There were 3 receivers to the right. Was somebody covered up? Were they not on the line of scrimmage? Or was the defense in the neutral zone? And we don't know. It must be on defense. First down.
A malfunctioning referee mic of Brad Van Bark. But clearly the penalty was on the defense.
And again, when you need a clutch situation and a big-time pickup, you go to Allen Lazard. 10 catches, 120 yards today. And really, it's more about the timing of some of those 10 catches, crucial third downs, moving the chains when they need it.
Moving into third in Iowa State history today, and passes caught. 159 is what he has. The junior from Urbandale, Iowa. They're in field goal range, up by 4 at the 30. Motion by Deshaunte Jones. Iowa State using the clock as a teammate right now as Montgomery ran out of a tackle about 3 or 4 yards past the line of scrimmage, and because of that, he'll end up picking up about 7 before the Tevin Shaw tackle for the Jayhawks.
Well, and Keith Loneker, number 33, the linebacker, actually read it right. He had the right read. He came up, met him in the hole, and just fell off. And, you know, got to credit Montgomery for keeping his legs going. But in these situations, every tackle and every yard is so important for the defense, and Loneker just could not bring him down.
Loneker has 8 tackles today. Mike Lee leads Kansas's defense with 11. Courtney Yarnick has 9. Montgomery, another running play. Step short. Picked up 2 on 2nd and 3. And Loneker involved again in another tackle, and you see Mike Lee getting up off the bottom of the pile as well.
Well, I would expect 3rd and short to run the football again. You've gone big with your personnel. You've got 2 tight ends, 1 running back, and a heck of a running back there to pick up this 3rd down conversion.
Iowa State today is 6 of 11 on 3rd downs. This is 3rd and 1. And Montgomery is hit at the line and is over the 20, it would appear.
He did get it based on the side judge's spot. And once again, Iowa State incorporating that wide receiver fly motion to distract the second-level defenders, get their eyes away from the running back, and all they had to do was hand it off and pick it up for 2 yards and a fresh set of downs.
At the 19-yard line of the Jayhawks, David Beatty in Kansas will have to start thinking about using timeouts now at this point. Montgomery, another running play, and he pops right at the 20. Cameron Rosser, Courtney Yarnick.
Stunt by number 28.
And the first timeout's taken. Kansas still has 2 more to use. 3:04 to go. Iowa State trying to bring it over the finish line on the road. Iowa State offense with 3:04 left has a 2nd down and 11 at the Kansas 20, leading the game by 4 points.
I would expect them to run the ball here, chew up some more clock, force Kansas to call another timeout, and then decide what you need to do on 3rd down if you don't get this 2nd and 11 attempt.
The running back is David Montgomery. Montgomery has run for 168 yards today, and they'll give it to him again. He's not going to add much, if anything, to his total as DeIsaac Davis clogs up the middle of the line, the 300-pound defensive tackle from Wichita, Kansas.
And you could just predict that it's going to be the same thing. Once you see that number 2 receiver come into motion, again, Kansas trying to get as much time left on that clock. They call another timeout. But again, Iowa State throughout this whole game has been running the ball effectively, off tackle, hitting the perimeter. But really, to me, in the second half, they've done such a good job running behind the left guard of Brian Shetta, using their center and their right guard to pull over the top. And that's where they've caused the most damage, is running to the left-hand side. And you have David Montgomery and Mitchell Harger doing all the damage on the ground in the second half, and KU just has not had any sort of answer, as they need to find something here to try to give as much time as they can to get their offense to orchestrate a comeback victory.
Iowa State today, as you see, they've run it for just over 250 yards. 112 yards better than their average, and they've run it when it's mattered to the tune of an 11-play, 41-yard drive right now that's taken 5:22 off the clock. It has them in field goal range. Can they move the sticks, though, on 3rd and 11? That's a big ask right now for Iowa State with just under 3 minutes to play. And here comes Kansas on a blitz. It's a running play, and they do make the tackle. Montgomery looked for a moment like he might squirm his way out of all of that pursuit, but he's brought down by Fish, Smithson, among several others.
You could tell by the defensive lineman that something was going to happen on that side. They brought a blitz from the offensive left side. They had the right call. They expected Iowa State to run the ball. As you'll see the blitz coming from that side. They've been attempting to run the ball to the left a lot, but if you're unblocked, he's got enough speed to make a play across the formation. So a nice call by Clint Bowen there to either attack play side or have that free blitzer run down the running back from the opposite side.
Well, the game isn't completely in the hands of Cole Netton, but it is at his feet for an opportunity to go from 4 to 7. Either way, Kansas is going to need a touchdown, but obviously the difference between a go-ahead touchdown or a tying touchdown resting on the outcome of this field goal, which is a 37-yard attempt. Netton has made one today, the 48th in his Iowa State career. Best field goal kicker in terms of accuracy in Iowa State history.
Watch the jump over the top.
Fading off to the left, but still knocked through by Cole Netton. 31-24 is the lead now for Iowa State. 2:48 remaining. Well, this year, Iowa State has been in this position with close games. Remember that they led by 17, or led by 14 in the fourth quarter, and Baylor rallied to win 45-42. Here they led by 17 against Oklahoma State, Ben, in Stillwater, but Oklahoma State finished up with 24 straight points to win 38-31. They had a chance 2 weeks ago in a game we called against Kansas State, and they left 14 points on the field with 2 dropped potential touchdown passes in a game they lost by 5. Notre Dame and UCLA are the only teams this year that have more losses by 10 points or less than Iowa State. Iowa State and Ball State both have 5 games they've lost by 10 or less this year. Just to kind of round that out, Ben, this year Iowa State has led in the fourth quarter of 3 of their losses and in the second half of another one.
And it's another one of those things when you talk to Matt Campbell that these guys at Iowa State don't have a tradition of winning. So some of the guys that he inherited, some of the upperclassmen, have not been a part of winning programs, and learning how to close out games and play to win is a hard thing. And once they can do that, he's so optimistic and confident that he has the right guys to turn this program around. And like you said, it's not like they don't have the talent now. They can compete in the Big 12. They've been leading against some high-powered teams, and they just can't close out these games.
There is an injured player for Iowa State. Looks like it's Reagan Northrup, sophomore linebacker, on special teams. 2:43. That would be a storybook finish for Carter Stanley if in his first start he can engineer a fourth quarter comeback. And the goal right now, of course, for Kansas is can they score and tie the game, and then everything else will be at stake afterwards. Let's go down to the field right now for Leslie McCaslin. Leslie.
Well, one of the things they really liked about Carter Stanley was that they felt like he was a gamer, that when they called his number, he was ready and at his best in big moments when the game was on the line. This is what they knew about him. Everything else was unsure. And so far, guys, he showed a lot of poise, but this is the biggest moment for him so far in his young career.
And it is a big one for Kansas. Down 7, 2:43 to go. And the drive will start at their 22. Passes to Sims. Sims tries to pirouette away from the defense. They keep him in bounds. They keep him to a short gain as well.
Well, to go back to what Leslie said, David Beatty talked to Carter Stanley's high school coach, and his high school coach down in Vero Beach, Florida said, hey, you're not going to be impressed and wowed by him in practice. You know, there's going to be some throws and sometimes you're like, what is going on? But when the lights come on in high school on a Friday night, this guy could play. Now he has an opportunity to start a positive legacy here at Kansas.
Oh, but he throws an interception. He throws an interception, Ben, to Jamal Wiltz. Wiltz with his second interception this season. And it's a game sealer. Kansas out of timeouts, 2:08 to go. What happened? No Kansas receiver anywhere close.
Just when I was trying to make the point about him being a gamer and trying to cement his legacy or start a legacy here, Stanley going through his progressions, miscommunication about where his receiver was going to be, and Jamal Wiltz, you see the out and up. Oh, he was bumped out of bounds. He had the right idea. He knew on the backside of that formation that Steven Sims was going to be on an out and up. He's bumped out of bounds by Wiltz. And then Jamal Wiltz becomes the receiver, comes down with the game-winning interception.
The Ally Bank play of the game. You know, we were just talking yesterday to David Beatty. He said, you know, when a quarterback hears the play call and they have all of the options, but one of the options is out and up, you know, a lot of times that's very, very likely what the quarterback wants to throw. Stanley went through his progressions, but with Wiltz getting bumped out, they're going victory formation here.
Which is such an interesting thing in college football now, that we traditionally see the kneel downs from quarterbacks under center, but a lot of centers and a lot of quarterbacks are not used to getting snaps from directly under the center. So this used to be frowned upon because too much can happen on a shotgun snap, but in this day and age, it is more unconventional to feel the hands underneath the center for the fear that you're going to have a bobbled snap. They line up in shotgun to kneel this down and come back and win this football game. What a tremendous game to watch for both teams.
Are they going to be able to run the clock out? That's the question. It's time for the Jimmy John's player of the game, Allen Lazard. His 6th career 100-yard effort, 10 big catches, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. He's moved into 3rd in Iowa State history in receptions with the 10 that he's grabbed today.
Well, I give a lot of credit to Jacob Park, the quarterback, in a lot of those situations, trusting that Allen Lazard was going to be where he's supposed to be, win the one-on-one matchups, and if it's tight, throw it in a position where only he can go up and get it. And Park did a tremendous job of doing that, and obviously Lazard had a couple drops early in the game, but really came back and was the difference in this game.
And Iowa State did just enough in terms of chewing up the clock there at the end with those victory snap formations that they don't have to run a 4th down play. Pretty alert management in that regard by quarterback Jacob Park, and it means for Matt Campbell and Iowa State, they will add to their win against San Jose State earlier this year with their 2nd victory and their 1st since September 24th. Allen Lazard and Iowa State, it is in the books. Iowa State defeats Kansas 31-24. A reminder on FS1 this afternoon, more Big 12 football. Oklahoma State hosts Texas Tech. For Ben Lieber and Leslie McCaslin, I'm Mark Followell. Thanks for watching. This has been a presentation of Fox College Football. Have a great weekend as we say so long from Lawrence, Kansas.